everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Raksha Gopal, and in this video I'm going to be talking about 6 signs that you might be clairaudient. Clairaudient is a psychic ability. It's one of the many clairs, and when translated it means clear hearing, the ability to pick up messages and guidance that comes through to us from the spiritual realms or from the higher realms in an audible way. These messages, they come through from our spirit guides, they can come through from our angels, deceased loved ones who are with us in spirit. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about 6 signs that you are clairaudient. A sign that you're clairaudient is that if you are someone who receives this guidance and messages inwardly as well as outwardly. And what I mean by this is that you are someone who really just hears this guidance come through in your mind. It might sound like a voice in your head, but it's more of like a loud thought. You have a sense that it's coming from a place beyond these senses, beyond this reality in a way. So I had experience with this once where I was about to take action on something and I heard this voice come through and say no. And regardless of hearing this voice, it was before I even knew I had this psychic ability and I didn't really know what to do with it, but at that time, I remember just taking action regardless and just paying dearly for the consequence of it. So then I really started to notice the more times I got guidance in this way, started to really pay attention to it and see that this is a lot of the guidance and messages that are coming from our higher self. It's just to reassure us and to really provide us with some sort of help and assistance when we need it the most. So you might have found that it comes through in a content word where it's as I've experienced, a no that comes through, or a yes that comes through, or just some information that just comes through really fast sometimes when you need it the most, and it can come through and sound like your voice as well. So this is how you may receive it inwardly and also outwardly, where have you ever found that you are alone in your room, alone at home, and just hear someone call your name, even if you are in a crowd and you might have heard someone call your name, but you really asked around and no one really said anything, but you were able to hear this. This is spirit trying to grab your attention in some way. You might have found that guidance and messages come during, the night, when you might have been someone who wakes up at a certain time and you'll hear a message come through, a sentence, a word that you needed to hear at that time. You also are someone who can really hear spirits like footsteps, or just in the ways in which spirit might try to grab your attention, such as ringing in your ear, and then after that there might be this message that comes through. Now if you experience that, you most likely are clear. Another sign that you're clairaudient is that if you are someone who is a great listener, you are really a great listener, not a good listener, but a great listener, where you really listen intently. You have awareness when listening to other people. You hold space for the conversation, and you may have heard people come up to you and say, hey, you are such a great listener. You really make me feel heard. And you are someone who finds therapeutic, healing in listening to other people. You find healing in listening to music. You find that you might be really musically inclined, wanting to sing. You might be a singer. You might want to play a certain instrument, a musical instrument. You're just someone who loves music. You love listening, and you listen with the intent of really paying attention to the subtle sounds, really subtle sounds that a lot of times other people cannot hear. You find healing in listening to nature sounds such as rain, or thunderstorms, wind, birds, chimes. you really find it to be really therapeutic and healing. Another sign that you're clairaudient is that if you are an auditory learner. An auditory learner is a learner who learns best through just listening. You can interpret messages and information the best, and you learn the best through just listening. You may have found that through school or through college or university, you were someone who didn't really need visual aid. You didn't really need like a PowerPoint presentation. You didn't really need to write anything down or read much, because you could just receive all of this information through just listening to your teacher, listening to your lecturer, and being able to learn best in that way. You are someone who's really drawn towards audiobooks more than just reading the book. Another sign that you are clairaudient is that if you are really sensitive to sound, being really stimulated when you are in a sensory rich environment, wanting to really fight or flight, being really anxious when there's a large crowd and there's so many people talking at once, or there's so many voices that are just happening all at once, it feels really overwhelming. You feel so anxious, your heart starts to beat really fast. You want to get away from the situation because it feels too much. And because of that, you really need time to listen to your own thoughts. You find that you are someone who just loves to be in quiet places where there's not too much of sound, there's not too much of auditory stimulation that's happening. So you can really listen and tune into your own thoughts. Another sign that you are clairaudient is that if inspired ideas come to you very easily. You get inspired ideas, you are someone who might listen to music and the lyric speaks to you in some way, it inspires you in some way. You watch a movie and you feel inspired in some way. These are ways in which spirit really grabs your attention because they know that you are great at listening. You're great at listening and interpreting these messages. And you are someone who just are able to get these inspired ideas and they come to you so easily, such as, having to maybe complete a project, being inspired to complete a project, and as soon as you're done with that, you are inspired to take the next action or the next step and to move on to something else. It's like you are able to tap into a flow state and being able to really just receive these ideas easily. You're not someone who have to really ask for inspiration or wait for inspiration. They just come to you easily because you are open and you are aware to these inspired ideas, these creative ideas. The sign that you are clairaudient is that if you are someone who gives great advice, you give great advice. Have you ever heard someone come up to you and say, hey, you give great advice? You are someone who it becomes an open channel. You become an open channel for spirit to just speak to you. A lot of times when you are giving advice, you find that the things that you are saying, they don't really make sense to you in that you have not heard it before, you have not read it before, you may have not even had the experience, but this advice just comes through to you or comes through you to the other person as if you are just a channel for spirit to send a message to the person. And also in there you will get a message for yourself. So you are someone who channels really easily as well. You might find that when you give yourself advice, even it's like there's just a dialogue that happens. It's like there's two people that are communicating to each other, and the advice that comes through again is very much clear, concise, and it's channeled information that you perhaps may have not heard before. So there you have it. These are signs that you might possess the psychic ability. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in a video soon. Bye for now.